over them. And I couldn't agree with you more. You know, you also on that same article, I believe you put up there where they could actually contact the governor. You've got his email address, his phone number. Maybe we could put that up, Rob, and show people that as well. And I encourage everybody to do the same. You don't have to be from Connecticut to voice your opinion on this. Obviously, don't do any threats or use bad language or anything, but definitely express your opinion. And maybe we should pray for the guy. I know that sounds silly, but obviously he has made a deal with the devil. And Alex Jones has always said that if the devil would ever own a company, it would be Monsanto. And I don't know this guy, how he could look at himself in the mirror each night after doing something like this. Overwhelming a majority of people in Connecticut did not, they wanted this thing to go through, and yet he shut it down.
Yeah, Darren, I'll tell you what, and the reason that I wrote it like I did as far as local, state, and federal government is you've got everything from these governors that are trying to twist and take out parts of bills and work with Monsanto, right on up to President Obama, who said he was going to want to label GM. That was one of his promises, was to label GMO foods. And what's one of the first things he does? He nominates Michael Taylor, who's a former vice president of Monsanto, to be in charge of food safety, for God's sake. It's just ridiculous, the ownership that Monsanto has with the government.
Well, nobody should be too surprised about all that. I think we could see that coming a mile away. But, hey, I want to switch gears right now. Let's go switch gears and talk about medical tyranny, which you're an expert in. And you're one of the leading experts in vaccine damage. Unfortunately, you learned the hard way. I understand your youngest son was vaccinated and got hurt by a vaccination. Could you briefly tell us what happened with your son, but I actually, and elaborate on that, tell us how you were able to reverse much of the adverse effects from the vaccinations as well.
Well, my son was vaccine injured at 20 months of age. A lot of people know the story already. Walking, talking, beautiful blonde hair, blue-eyed baby boy, walk him into the pediatrician's office, gets his vaccines, high fever. Next thing you know, constant crying, constant diarrhea for 4.5 years, totally ill, failure to thrive. And we finally realized what it was long after the statute of limitations, which, would you believe it or not, are involved with vaccine injury as well. And we just met up with the right people, particularly at Autism One, which is a big conference that's held actually the weekend after this weekend in Chicago. And our first conference there, we met a lot of other people, a lot of doctors that said there's hope. And we started listening to these doctors and these nutritionists and started working with homeopaths and naturopaths. And our son is now 65% recovered, and he's getting better every day.
Well, that is certainly some good news. And what do you think about reports that we're getting that doctors are actually firing their patients for parents who refuse to vaccine their children? The doctors are firing their patients. Have you heard about that, and what do you think about that?
Yeah, well, what's ludicrous about that is how in the heck is it that I pay you for services and you can fire me? No, I fire you. When I'm the one paying the bills, I'm the one that fires you.
That's what I say. Two could play at that game. If you have a doctor that's going to insist on injecting, your family with poisonous vaccinations, you could fire them. And more doctors are starting to lean our way, and the more doctors that we fire, these other doctors will start to emerge in the process. Hey, look, I got an article I wanted to share with you, and I understand you might know a little bit about this. I just learned about this recently. California Assembly bill focuses on skipped vaccines. And it says that parents would have to take a trip to the doctor's office before opting out of vaccines to their children. Parents who choose to send unvaccinated children to school must present a signed waiver from a physician stating that they have been informed about the benefits and risk of immunizations, blah, 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 and the public health consequences of opting out. Oh, my God. What do you think about that?
Well, this article is really misleading, and the primary reason why it's misleading is because they're making it sound like you go to your doctor to get a medical exemption. What they're not telling you here is it's not the medical exemption that we're talking about. Now, they don't have in California a philosophical or religious exemption. They've kind of morphed it into one. Call it a PBE, or a personal belief exemption.
That's
okay,
right. That's right.
And so basically, what they're trying to do is say, if you have a personal belief as a parent that your child should not be vaccinated, somehow an allopathic physician has to validate your personal beliefs or your religious or philosophical beliefs. That is just an affront to personal freedom. It's disgusting to me.
Well, how about a bill that says that, you know, that parents should read the dangers of vaccinations before they consent to giving their kids one? And that would make more sense.
Well, and we actually have that bill here in Missouri, where I'm from. Yeah, I'm from the home state of Monsanto. In fact, I'm about an hour and 15 minutes north of them. And we actually have a congressman here that tried to get that bill put in, and it didn't make it to session. I'm talking with him now, and he's going to try to put it into the next session. But yeah, we actually have a politician here in Missouri that wanted to make that mandatory for children up to 7 years of age, and it didn't get anywhere. But yet this bill that says a doctor has to tell you whether they can validate your personal or religious beliefs, that's just sailing through everything. It's gone through the Health Committee. It's been through the House now, and now it's going into the Senate Health Committee, which means it's not very far away from the governor's desk.
Well, that's pretty scary. The article continues. It says public health officials have been battling a growing belief among some parents that there is a link between vaccines and autism, a perception that persists even after researchers say one of the most publicized studies supporting the link was debunked. Your comments?
Yeah, well, Dr. Wakefield is who they're referring to there, and I personally know him. And he's a great guy.
And he's been on our show several times, by the way. You probably know that as well.
Absolutely. He's been on my show as well. And I'm going to tell you what's amazing is they tell the people that it's been debunked because the powers that be and the pharmaceutical industry has told them it's been debunked. Meanwhile, over 25 different studies have replicated his findings. How is that debunked? It's absolute propaganda. It's total lies, which makes these people criminals.
And it's junk science.
Oh, it's pseudoscience, there's no doubt, but yet we're the conspiracy theorists.
That's right. Well, speaking of conspiracy theorist, there is now you sent us this one. This is from Jezebel.com. It's a celebrity, sex, fashion for women type of website. But I read this and oh my God, I was so angry after reading this. The title is called Getting Measles Trendy Among Babies Whose Asshole Parents Didn't Vaccinate Them. And let me just read a little bit of this. Are you a baby? Did your parents make the jerky decision not to vaccinate you? Well then, you are in for some fevery, itchy, rash-tastic fun because measles are back. Thanks to modern medicine and mass immunization, by the year 2000, measles was considered all but eliminated from the U.S., but then along came Jenny McCarthy's tinfoil hat theories that vaccines caused autism and dick parents who assumed that other kids' immunity would protect their kids and the vaccines were government mind-controlled drugs. Where did you find this, and did you try to contact her? Tell us about this article.
Oh, yeah, I tried to contact Erin Gloria Ryan, and I even tried to post on her story. I tried to just try to tell her the truth and tell people what a jerk she was and what a you-know-what she was, the way from the title of the article, and she wouldn't even post the comment on her article. If you notice on the post, they're all positive. She's going through all the negative articles, which I told all my listeners to contact as well. None of the posts have been posted on this article.
You know, I tried to post something myself, and it was rejected. So, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And I'll tell you what I love about that is what she doesn't seem to understand, and this is a moron that obviously is just knee-jerk reaction herself. She doesn't know anything about the topic she's writing about, because if she had, she would have looked at the Morbidity and Mortality Weekly Report from the year before the measles vaccine was brought out that said measles were already 85%. Measles fatalities were eradicated 85% before the vaccine ever came out. But that never gets into any of these stories, whether it's mainstream media or some idiot like on Jezebel.
Well, and doctors are being trained, and they're told to sell the vaccines. But now people are starting to become more and more aware of the dangers, thanks to people like you. And, you know, I always feel that, you know, when something bad happens to me, a lot of times it's a blessing in disguise. And I think, you know, we could look at what happened with your son. You know, obviously that was a very traumatic experience, but look what good came from it. Through that trauma and through that experience, you're able to investigate, learn all that you have up to this point about the dangers of vaccinations. You're educating everyone else. And you and your son, you guys are actually stopping and preventing other parents from making the same mistake. You're also helping reverse the side effects that may have already taken place. So I commend you for what you're doing. We're almost out of time, but briefly, I want you to go over in closing what your next, you know, what's next on your agenda. Tell us a little bit about your radio show on the Natural News Network and what's next for Kurt Linderman Sr.
Well, I'll tell you, my radio show is on during Alex's show, so that's kind of a bummer, but you can catch the archives, naturalnewsradio.com. The name of the show is Linderman Unleashed, and it is hardcore, in your face. I don't hold back any punches. I was a MMA fighter for a number of years before my knees got bad, and I do radio the same way I fought in the ring. I'm ready to go at them, and my wife and I and some partners of ours are just about this next weekend at Autism One Conference. We're going to launch a brand new company called Box Organics, which is going to distribute organic food by mail order through about 2/3 of the nation, and we're looking to get bigger. It's going to be huge.
Sign me up.
We're just pushing this stuff, and we're going to get people healthy, and we're going to do it despite the United States government.
That's right. All of us work together, and you know, count me in on that. I'll definitely sign up for that. Well, Kurt Linderman Sr., thank you for joining us. You know, I've always said that we need 100,000 Paul Reveres right now. You are definitely one of them. It's good to have you on our side, and you know, I can't wait for your next article, and look forward to having you back on the show sometime in the very near future. Thank you.
Thank you, man.
All right, folks, and that just about does it for tonight's show. Be sure to join us tomorrow night. We have a very special broadcast. Sybil Edmonds will be live video Skype, and an interview with Alex Jones. That's FBI translator and 9/11 whistleblower Sybil Edmonds tomorrow night on the INFOWARS Nightly News. Be sure to tune in. Until then, good night, God bless, and fight the New World Order.